Now, a lot of people say, how on earth can you offer those high interest rates? This is not something new that we've just plucked out and got on a whiteboard. It's based upon long-term government contracts.
What we do, we go buy property, we go lease property, we go develop property, and we have a multi-tier investment strategy. So clients coming into us, the mitigation of risk is done from our side. So we spread the investment strategy across multiple different investment models.
99% of the industry, everything you'll see plastered all over social media, just sold another 40 blocks, 50 blocks, buy these deals, etc., etc. Those investors that invest, you become the landlord. You're buying it on a rent-to-rent deal. So good morning, good afternoon and good evening. We're back for another podcast session. My name's Lewis Hall, my business partner, Christian Woollard, and this is the CEO and the founder, our podcast. Welcome back.
Indeed.
So today we're going to talk about our assisted living fixed term investment, which is coming back for a limited time only.
Indeed it is. So exciting stuff. We've been running this program for the last year.
Yep.
So it's its anniversary, and we've made it bolder and better. The strategy in which the way we've put it together is classed as an unregulated collective investment scheme.
Yep.
And as such, because we take our responsibilities as owners and directors of business very carefully. And we're in consultation all the time with the FCA, so we have regulatory law firm that manage our position. So as such, we have opened this investment strategy out to either sophisticated investors, self-certified or by us, or high net worth individuals, and it allows us then to present this investment strategy, this financial promotion to them. But in a nutshell, we'll just run through exactly what it is and how all of our clients can benefit from the investment strategy.
100%. I mean, let's briefly just touch on what Christian just explained there, the reasons why we've structured it in such a way, and the reasons why we don't offer this investment to everyone. We need to make sure people understand it. And also the other reason, just to be completely transparent, I think it's fair to say that we are the only company, excuse the pun, we are unique. But what I mean is 90% of, let's be honest, most people that listen to this podcast that are in the property industry, if you're not in the property industry and you're on social media, you would have seen the mass bombardment over the last, social housing, assisted living has always been there for many, many years. I think it's fair to say that it's exploded. Like if you look at rent-to-rent service accommodation 5 years ago, it was exploding then. It's still active now, but it's nowhere near like it was. Social housing, the deals, it all over social media. But the point I'm trying to make is 99.9% of it is all done on a rent-to-rent structure. Mm-hmm. So effectively they're selling to investors, and we're not saying there's anything wrong with that, we're just putting it out there. There's pros and cons to everything, but 99% of the industry, everything you'll see plastered all over social media, just sold another 40 blocks, 50 blocks, buy these deals, etc., etc. Those investors that invest, you become the landlord. You're buying it on a rent-to-rent deal.
Yeah, so you don't own any asset.
Correct. You don't own any of the asset, and there's pros and cons to that, right? It might look really pretty on a piece of paper that what you're going to get, but that could change, and there's risk to that investor. For example, in 2 years' time, you've had all your payments, something changes, because most of 90% of that is to help the issues with accommodation, whether it's homeless or vice versa, and that changes across the year. You'll see councils will go when their budgets will change, or if they've solved the issue of homeless in one area, there's no need for those contracts, and they change them, and rightly so, because there's no point in having huge multi-million-pound operations if no one's going to use them. So they put clause in those contracts. We're not saying it happens all the time, but all you got to do is go and Google it. The biggest companies out there do give notice on stuff like that. Now, if you're an investor, which you're just a landlord in that case, and let's say after the second year, you've been given notice for whatever reason, you're in a bit of a position. The way that we structure it is you invest in us directly. There is no rent-to-rent deals whatsoever, so we've got to make sure that we are speaking to the right investors, hence why the investors who love what we do are queuing up to do it. And if you look at over the last 12 months, hundreds and hundreds of investors took advantage.
And successfully, which is why we have hundreds and hundreds of 5-star Trustpilot reviews, because they're real people, real investors, and it's a win-win. I think it's important just to make a quick note on that, because there's a lot of companies out there pushing investment strategies to what is classed as the retail environment,
Yep.
the consumer, the sort of average, person in the street. And the FCA is clamping down on that because they're pushing them into collective investment schemes, which are unregulated, and they're not actually allowed to do that. So it's called a financial promotion. The FCA are very stringent on how you can promote an investment to the retail market. If you're not FCA regulated, you're not allowed to do it. So I think there'll be a bit of a clampdown on a number of products out there that aren't being represented and sold correctly. From our standpoint, we adhere to what we need to adhere to. We're very clear and concise in terms of how we present the products that we have to the clients, 100%. So they understand every single element. We won't take on a client if they don't fully understand what we're doing. So that's one key point. And also we have contingency plans in place to protect the investor at all times. So that, which is another key element from a regulatory point of view. The client comes first,
Yep.
and that's what we'll go to the end of the world. But, Unique is a bit of a family. It's a family business. Lewis, him, his partner, his son maybe one day. So that's one side of the family. You've got my side with my daughter. So we're a family business. And when a client comes on board, we treat them like family. They
100%.
become part of the family, and we will go to the ends of the earth to look after every single client that we have. And I think they'll testify to the same.
100%. It's just like going back to what you said a minute ago. We're very proud of our online reviews.
Yeah.
We're even got to the point where someone said the other day, they're too good to be true, they must be made up. You can't win, right? Anyone out there in business will understand, doesn't matter whether you're selling Teslas, BMWs, investment products, brand new phones, even if everyone loves what you do, to try and get people to stop and do online reviews it's just a nightmare. I get people when I purchase stuff, can you leave me a review? Of course I will.
No. I
just forget, and it's just,
and
I had something else I purchased the other week, and someone's like, can you leave me a review? Do you know what, I want to do that because you went out of your way, and I forgot to do it, and it kept reminding me, and I felt really bad, and I'd done it. And then I realised how it's like when our staff says, I've been trying to get hold of this person, because most of our investors are busy. We operate hands-off investments to hands-off investors, so they don't have to get involved other than signing contracts and obviously paying for stuff. So when you're trying to get hold of them afterwards, to get 100 reviews, we'd have spoken to probably 1,000 people, right? But the fact that we do have, I think it's 120 at the moment, but 120 back-to-back reviews. Now that doesn't show us as a business that we've only got 100 clients. We've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients, and every single client loves us. But to get them to stop to go and leave an online review it's challenging sometimes, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is. So let's jump into what the new product is. I mean,
yes, absolutely.
You talked about there's a lot of rent-to-rent deals. The way we've structured this investment strategy is people are investing in us, and what we do, we go buy property, we go lease property, we go develop property, and we have a multi-tier investment strategy. So clients coming into us, the mitigation of risk is done from our side. So we spread the investment strategy across multiple different investment models.
Correct.
Which are all in and around assisted living. We work specifically within that sort of bracket and framework, that being people with special needs, people with disabilities, whether it be helping the NHS, free up bed space, whether it, you've got someone learning difficulties, which need long-term care. And there's a strategic pathway that we have with assisted living because it is long-term care.
Correct.
Which is equally why we work with some of the top housing providers, some of which are FCA regulated, some of which are Home Office and DWP registered.
NHS directly.
Exactly. And we're able to obtain anywhere from 5-year to 25-year long-term contracts on the properties we do, that we buy and develop and so on. So therefore, there's a security blanket for us, and there's a security blanket for our investor.
It's just touching on that a bit more. It's like someone said the other day, what is it you do in the background? Now, we've got decades of experience. I think it's fair to say that we know the industry inside and out, from the people that control it from overseas to the biggest REITs out there, to the developers, to the big developers, and everyone in between. We know, I think it's fair to say that we know every single provider. Some we work with, some we don't. Mm-hmm. Some are ethical, some are not, to be honest with you. Even though they are government providers, they do things differently. We select who we work with that matches our values, so it creates a win-win situation. So once we bolt it all together, whether that's a lease or a purchase, a lease bolted onto the purchase, it's all about the people that helps the back end, the reasons why we put these operations together. But because of our creativeness, it allows us to offer these investments to investors, and it creates a huge win-win situation. So we're not just fixed on one product or one scheme as such. So going back to it, if there was anything to go wrong, which it can't, and if you look at it from an investor standpoint, that's the reasons why we structure over a 3-year period. Yeah. Now, like Christian said, some of the contracts that we have, majority of them are 25 years. Yeah. Now, let's be honest, it all comes down to the clause in those contracts. So what I mean by that is if you've got a 25-year contract with a 5-year clause, effectively it's a 5-year rolling contract. Some of the leases that we have at 25 years are just fixed at 25 years. We have some at 5 years, 10 years, I think one was at 15. Majority are at 25 years.
Yeah, and inflation linked. So,
well, all of it is inflation linked.
The rental income on certain parts will never go down. It'll just stay in line with inflation.
On that, it was interesting. So our sales investment director, Sam Taylor, we done an interesting exercise last week where he mapped out on the board back to the index, and this was exactly what's happened in the last 5 years with inflation, where we've mapped it out at 1% increase per year. But if you look at inflation over the last 5 years, it was close to like 30%, or roughly. It was some large numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, as an exercise, it doesn't quite work like that in reality, unfortunately.
Well, it's hard to forecast that if that's going to happen.
Yeah, and also a number of the inflationary linked contracts that we have are capped and collared, so they won't ever go anywhere above a certain point. But definitely, it's something where if we're putting money into something, because we're putting our money in as well as clients putting money in, we don't want that money to start slowing down and be chasing backwards from inflation and becoming less valuable. So we always want to be keeping in front of inflation. I think with the 36-month, 3-year term, I think people like that period of time. 12 months, it's very difficult to do something incredibly sexy in 12 months.
100%.
5 years, a lot can happen in 5 years, as we can see over the last 5 years.
Correct.
So 36 months is quite a key point, and it allows us enough time to manipulate what we're doing in the market with various properties and investments, and it allows the client to get a healthy return in a shorter period of time. So it works for all. So
so that's exactly why that we structure it like you said. Over 12 months over an investment, it's too much. Yeah. It doesn't work for the operation, because let's say, for example, if you was to, I don't know, take a £20,000 investment over a year, there's not great things you can do with that, and the investments payments would be just too high, and it's not sustainable. 5 year, there are some great investments out there that are 5 and 10 years. That is quite long, because like you said, anything can happen. Yes, we do have stuff that's leased out over 25 years, and stuff does happen over 25 years.
Well, the important point is, I mean, one of our investment strategies within this model, certain properties that we develop, put a 25-year lease in place with a tier 1 housing provider. Within that 3-year period, we will wrap that up, multiple blocks together, and we will sell that to hedge funds, pension funds, whatever it might be, which then generates a very healthy uplift, which then comes back into the pot going out to the clients. So, because we're not going to sit here just with a 25-year lease. We don't want to be just long-term landlords. That's not our business model. We're really working within that sort of 2 to 5 year. So it sits well at 3 years, where we're constantly moving and pivoting the position so that our clients win and we win.
Another win-win situation.
Exactly.
And again, what a lot of our investors know us. Like, we heavily invest in this ourselves, whether we purchase the blocks or we're heavily involved in the operations. Unique itself, let's be honest, is a huge operation. Behind the wall here, downstairs, it's a mega operation that costs a lot of money. Without that, we wouldn't be able to, 1, survive, 2, get creative and offer these investments, and the whole thing just wouldn't work. And our investors love the fact that we do what they do at the highest of levels. It just creates a win-win situation. So for 3 years, fixed term investment, you can't, I mean, it's, let's be honest, if you was to have that money in the bank compared to what our investors, I mean, it's night and day, right?
Well, I mean, we haven't even mentioned what it is, but I mean, we're doing a fixed term investment strategy which offers a 25% return per annum.
I mean, where can you, I mean, that's guaranteed, that's fixed, that's based on, now a lot of people say, how on earth can you offer those high interest rates? This is not something new that we've just plucked out and got on a whiteboard. Yeah. This is something that, one, it's based upon long-term government contracts. It's also based around our creativity to allow us to either lease or purchase. Some people say, why don't you do it ourselves? This is a billion-dollar industry. One, we wouldn't be a very good investment company if we didn't offer very good investments. Now, let's be honest. It's like, not necessarily with investments. It's like anything in life.
But we are doing it ourselves.
Exactly.
We've got skin in the game.
And you get a lot of comments on social media. It's like, if it was that good, you'd do it all yourself. There's no way on earth that we could fund this whole industry. Like I said, it's a billion-dollar industry. Even the government can't fund it themselves. Hence why they allow this stuff to go on there. And it just creates a win-win situation. That where else can you go out there and get 25% fixed term? And some people say, what do you do with that money? And that's why we document what we do on social media, like the operations. Like I was proud. We went out yesterday with our acquisition director, our videographer, and our sales director. Was travelling around London. It was 30 degrees. It wasn't a great day to go out filming. I was literally soaked. But it was so interesting. Was going out. We went down one road and there were 6 houses that we had leased out. There was a block of flats. There was that. But we were out there on site, and everyone knows who we were. So we were talking to the landlord, the building manager. We were talking to the builder come out of the new extension he was doing next door. The developer that was converting new 14, and they all knew Unique. They all knew us. They loved the operations. When you go out there and you see it now, don't get me wrong. Yes, we see it because we obviously created. When you physically go out there and watch all the operations, not only is it exciting, it just makes us proud.
Yeah.
Like not only are we supporting people out there, and these are all British citizens, by the way. There's lots of other stuff that's involved in social housing or assisted living. We stick to certain strategies, and it helps British citizens across the country, and we do it at a large scale. That, with our creativity, with what we do in the background, with these contracts, allows us to offer these fixed-term investments.
Yeah, and I think also, we're stand-up guys. We both live in the UK.
What you see is what you get, right?
Yeah, what you see is,
I know what you're about to go on.
Well, I know a lot of investment companies in this country, which, makes me slightly nervous about being involved with them, but they're all disappearing to Dubai, and they're all living in Dubai, so if it all goes tits up, how do you get hold of them? It's a worry for me, personally, but we live in the UK. We have no intention whatsoever of moving to Dubai. Yes, we've got some investments in Dubai, but A, it's too hot. And B, we need to be hands-on, operational in the UK.
There's no way that there's no way that we could. I think we could, but there's no way that we could do it at the level that we operate if me and you wasn't in this building, 2 this country. It just wouldn't operate. No. With both our skill sets put together, which is what creates Unique. And we had a client reach out recently, and they do a lot of research on the market, other companies, and they come to this very office. Behind these cameras, there's lots of whiteboards and some other meeting rooms and offices. And there was one of our investors come out, and he's now our investor, but he had this research on 5 companies. I won't mention the companies' names. And he turned around and said, well, this company here operates in these locations across the world, but all of their operations are in the UK, but they've got offices. So that's not normal. But what he was trying to say is the directors live in Dubai. Another investment company, their directors live in, I think it was Pakistan, which is absolutely fine. But if you're investing in a company and the owners aren't even living in that country, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but it raises alarm bells, right?
Yeah, I think so. Of course, people move to Dubai for taxation purposes, but if you've got a UK operation and all your income is being generated in the UK, they've got a bilateral agreement now with Dubai, so you're not going to get any tax benefit. So for me, it just raises the alarm bell. Okay, it's not just tax. They're future-proofing themselves.
It does make you think, right?
For something falling over.
But then also, just on the back of that, another thing that our investors love, like downstairs so we're in our HQ here. This is the podcast area. My offices, Christian's offices are next door with the acquisition teams, social media in and around here. This is where we like to get creative. Upstairs, we film some stuff. Downstairs is where we have our investment floor, but also we've got a section where we have our events, private events, and just on that, we do not sell training, educational products. Unfortunately, anything we do is for our own staff. But the point I'm trying to make is the investors, when they come here, like that last event that we done last month, whatever it was, which is a few weeks back, just the room was filled with investors, but most of them were pre-investors that were already invested with us. Their feedback was phenomenal. We have an open door policy. It's not what you said. What you see is what you get. We don't talk shit on social media. What we sell gets delivered, hence the reviews, hence we've been doing this for years. All the investors love us, but what they love more is the fact they can just knock on the door, by appointment only, but within reason. We get investors coming all the time, whether they want to have a conversation with Christian, have a conversation with our accountant, or talk to Christian about other assets they've got they're up to do, or come get creative with us, or speak to the teams downstairs. Investors love that we're human, we're real people, and what you see is what you get.
Indeed. And so that kind of wraps it up. If you're interested in talking to us about that specific investment strategy, then please feel free to reach out.
Just to confirm on that, it's 25% fixed, paid monthly, over a 3-year period, completely hands-off for you as an investor.
Yeah, and you get all your capital back at the end as well.
You get all your capital back at the end, which is 100% guaranteed because of the contracts that we have. This isn't something new. We have hundreds and hundreds of clients. You're more than welcome to talk to them, more than welcome to come to our office. You will not find, now just to confirm, this is only for investors who want a hands-off approach. If you want to go and add value to a property, do it all yourself. This isn't for you. If you just want to position your money somewhere where hundreds of other people have done it before you, it's guaranteed and fixed, and you just want that hands-off approach, reach out, send a message, click a link. But just on that, there are strict allocations. We brought this back a few days ago.
Yep.
Our existing clients have, the number's quite large that has invested. It's over £1 million already.
Yep.
Because this isn't just a free-for-all where we can take hundreds of millions of pounds into these operations. It has to work in the back end of these operations.
Sure, 100%.
Hence why we put it on hold for the last 2 or 3 months, not because we couldn't cope. We didn't need that investment because we had the other investors' money that was running through. But the operations continue to grow with our acquisition teams in the background. But yes, there is limited allocations. There was lots of people that got frustrated last time because they thought that we were just using that as a bit of a sales tactic. There was hundreds and hundreds of people that were reaching out, but it was stopped. But yeah, if you are looking to reach out, click one of the links, reach us on social media or on our website. Book a discovery call. There's no obligation whatsoever. You can have a discovery call and you'll just be left alone.
Yep.
But let's be honest, if you're looking to invest, it's affordable. Once you've spoken to one of the teams, it sells itself.
Yeah, you can speak to one of the teams, you can speak to existing investors, you can obviously come here, as we've mentioned. We'd love to hear from you and run through and explain how we work and what we do. And if it's for you, great. If it's not, no worries.
But you don't have to invest. We're just here to showcase our value and our skill set and what we do at Unique on our podcast. We appreciate every single person that takes their time to listen, and we value it. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to comment below. We will respond to all of them, or you can message us directly. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.